là-bas, debout là-bas, Cal. Debout, debout, joue. Ça. gauche, là. Ghana go fight, qui a sorti là-bas? Qui sort? Ghana go fight. Hey, Marc, regarde-moi. C'est bon, c'est bon. Oui. Tiens, Marcon. Pushing, no pulling, hands off! Don't use your head! Hands off! Away, away! Easy, man, easy.
Well, there's a foul there by France. A foul on Wilfred Singo, which leads to the first free kick of the game in the right back position for Ivory Coast, who are all in orange, the Elephants, as they are known. And they've played the ball back to Yahia Fofana, who sprays it forward into the left-hand channel, picked up in centre field by Weil. He's played it out to the left-hand side. They're making progress through Diomande. Get a cross in from the left. It's a dangerous one as well. Defender did just enough, and the ball travelled through to Mike Magnon. And that was a dangerous moment. It was a lovely cross in from the left. And there was someone closing in at the near post as Imersa Faye watches on, the Ivory Coast head coach. He, of course, took over partway through the 2023 AFCON tournament and became the first manager ever to win a tournament that he became in charge of a team partway through. He took over just before the last 16 of that tournament and presided over 4 wins that led them to the title. Anyway, France now all in blue, coming forward in the Ivory Coast half. They've played a little short pass there, progressing down the right hand side of the pitch. And Cherky is on the ball. It's played back into the back line. Chimani was playing deep there. It's played out wide to Hernandez. Hernandez back to Upamecano, but his ball inside goes slightly awry. Chimani comes across to get a head on it to prevent an Ivory Coast counter-attack. Turan is tussling for the ball with Diakite, and the Austrian official says he's tussling too aggressively. Indeed, he was pulling Diakite back by the wrist, was Turan, and that will lead to a free kick, which the Ivory Coast have already taken. They've played a ball up the left-hand channel. Should be tidied up, but it isn't. They've got beyond them here. Here's a chance for Diomande. He's just crowded out in the end. They've got beyond the initial defender. I think it was, in the end, Upamecano that came back to help Jules Koundé, who was outpaced initially by Diomande, who's got down that left-hand side a couple of times in this first 5 minutes for the Ivory Coast. That's something that France are going to have to watch, because they've already been undone for pace in that area on a couple of occasions. But here come France now, playing a ball through. Oh, good goalkeeping. Very good goalkeeping from Fofana. He came racing out before Mbappe could get onto that through ball played to him from the right-hand channel. Very alert goalkeeping indeed from Yahia Fofana. All in yellow tonight. It's a very Larry kit, actually. Very almost luminous, really. I'll tell you a little bit about Yahia Fofana as we go along. He's one of a number of Ivory Coast players who were actually born in Paris, so could have played for France, but find themselves playing for their country of heritage rather than birthplace. Anyway, the ball's in the back line for France. They've spread it to this left-hand side now, and coming forward through Rabiot, but he was impeded. And the referee has awarded a free kick to France. Yeah, he played the ball off Rabiot and was just simply obstructed. And that was Diakite giving away that free kick. France have it to the left of the penalty area with Kylian Mbappe. He's laid it off to Rabiot. It's played back through. Here's a chance. Oh, good save. Really good stop that. Kylian Mbappe. You'd have backed him to score from the left-hand side of the box, and he got a clean enough strike on it. It was a lovely ball through to him. delicious from Elise. And he hit it right-footed. And you hear Fofana got a big right hand down on it. Pushed it aside. Fine stop by the goalkeeper. From his clearance though, here come France again. Elise once more. About 35 yards out, tucks it to his left. Mbappe tried to play it back to him. It's now broken for Hernandez. And the Ivory Coast scrape it clear. Now they might be able to launch a counter-attack of their own. It's Diomande out on the left-hand side, looking to spring forward. He couldn't. He had to play the ball backwards for a moment. But Ivory Coast have kept possession in their orange shirts. They have it on the halfway line. Lots of banners tonight in attendance round the Stade de la Bourgeois in Nantes, which looks pretty full, I have to say. Not too many empty seats. A lot of French fans greeting Didier Deschamps. They know this is the last time they'll see him in the dugout for France in Nantes. Want to give him a send-off before the World Cup. Ball played forward, but intercepted by the Ivory Coast to try and break out. Ball played forward, it's just gone awry. Upamecano did well again there. A couple of times he's broken up an Ivory Coast attack in these early minutes. Elise trying to link with Mbappe once again. Michael Elise just to the right of the penalty area. Comes inside now. He was looking for a shot on his left foot for a moment. He's played it through. They might get a shot in here from Thuram, and they do, but it's well off target. He was well attended, Thuram. He had a couple of defenders around him, and he couldn't get his foot round the ball properly to get a clean sight of goal, as it were. So it speeds away behind the goal, and it'll be a goal kick, which the Ivory Coast have already taken. Didier Deschamps, suited and booted, standing in his technical area. Always looks immaculate, does Didier Deschamps. Very elegant looking gentleman, if we can use that expression of him. Here is Aurélien Tchouameni, who actually scored the winning goal the last time these two sides met in March 2022. He scored a goal in the 90th minute to win it 2-1 for France. They've won 2 of the 3 encounters between the sides over history. The other one was drawn, and France have won themselves a free kick here on the left-hand side of the pitch. Thuram brought that to ground by Diakite, who's defending quite deep here. Umar Diakite. It's Ryan Cherki who's going to get on the ball. Lots of people holding up masks of Didier Deschamps, and seems to be a very party-like atmosphere. It's like the send-off party here, the going-away party. Cherki with the free kick. Drifts it in. Well, I thought he was going to drift it in from the left. He played it square to Elise. He's lofted it into the penalty area. Rather a weak header away, but Diakite will get onto it. And Ivory Coast now in possession. They have the ball with Doué. His ball forward temporarily lost possession of the ball, but Kessie won it back. And now they try and make progress down the left-hand side. Here's Doué once more, playing it back to his centre-back, Emmanuel Badou. Now here's Kessie again, drifting a ball forward down that left-hand side. Diomande was happy to give chase, but had a little bit too much on it, that one, and drifted through to Mike Maignan. Here come France once more. Cherki, that's a lovely ball down that right-hand side. Michael Elise now on the right-hand touchline. He's played it back to Koundé, and they've gone back to the halfway line. Have France, Konaté. Now it's spread to the left, and Hernandez. Mbappe gets onto it. That's a good run forward by Rabiot. He's just inside the box. He's forced to turn back though. Here's Upamecano. And now Konate once more. Konate. Aurelian Tchouameni. Now Elise. Rabiot again. Here's Elise. Just outside the box. Drifts it towards Rabiot. Rabiot still has it. He goes down under challenge in the box. France appealed for a penalty. I thought Rabiot had handled the ball before that, but referee waved that away as well. France back in possession again with Jules Koundé. Playing it back to his centre-back Konate. Here's Ryan Cherki on the right-hand touchline. Now Koundé once more. Upamecano. And out to this left-hand touchline now, and Hernandez. They're trying to spread the ball wide, move the defenders around. Mbappe, that's a lovely dummy from Cherki, but Konate didn't quite reach it. It's back with Cherki again though. Can he find room for the shot on the edge of the area? He tried to do so, but Singo was in the way. France are cranking up the pressure here in the first 15 minutes of this game. Cherki's got himself on the ball again. He's seeing a lot of it, as is Elise. They appear to be the orchestrators doing the string pulling. Rabiot too. Here is Cherki once more. Konate with a cross from the right, headed away by Agbadou, not very far. Cherki chests it into the path of Tchouameni, who's had to retreat. Upamecano had to be careful there, and they've lost the ball of France. Oh, good covering again. Really good covering again by Upamecano. He's been excellent in this first 13 or 14 minutes. That's 3 times now that France have lost the ball, and the Ivory Coast have threatened to break into their half, or have broken into their half, and Upamecano has swept up in really good style. Excellent, excellent football by the big centre-back. Here is Konate now for France on the halfway line, just to the right of the centre circle. Upamecano. Now Hernandez. Mbappe has found himself out on the left-hand touchline. He drives in field now. He's got company in the shape of Doué. Mbappe once more. Here is Rabiot. And now Koundé. Elise on the right-hand side, taunting the Ivory Coast defenders. Eventually he is forced back. Hernandez now on the left-hand side, finding Thuram. Thuram looking for help, and he finds Cherki inside. Cherki doesn't try and drive forward on this occasion. He finds Tchouameni instead. It's gone back out to that right-hand touchline once more. Jules Koundé. Koundé being driven back. The Ivory Coast keeping decent shape at the moment. They're not seeing much of the ball, but they're making it hard for France. Here's Hernandez though, just to the left of the penalty area. He's touched it into the path of Tchouameni. Tchouameni to Elise. Oh, he tried to play it on to Koundé, who made a run up the right-hand side. Ivory Coast have given it away again. They've given it back to Elise. Tchouameni. Now here's Rabiot trying a shot from distance, which fizzes over the top of the bar. Rabiot wanted a corner. I'm not sure the referee has given one, but it was worked across to a central position by Elise and Tchouameni, and Rabiot let fly. Got plenty of fizz in the shot. Didn't clear the crossbar by that much. Fofana was flying across his goal. I think he pulled his hand away at the last minute, to be fair. And in the end, it was just a goal kick. But France look in the mood. That's 3 or 4 dangerous attacks from them. Here come the Ivory Coast, though, down the right-hand side. Good football that from them. Adingra. And now Diakite to the right of the penalty area. Here's Wal. He's bundled over from the back. Referee doesn't give a foul because Ivory Coast still have the ball. And they have it with Seiko Fofana. He slows the game down for a moment. Just stands on the ball. Cherky was standing in his path. So in the end it was offloaded. They have it again though, Ivory Coast, on the left-hand side. That's good football. Shrugs off a couple of challenges. The Diamande goes down just outside the box. I think he rather lost his footing though. He seems to have hurt himself in the foot, though his foot appears to have fallen on his shoulder. Frank Kessie has gone across to the referee as if to say that should have been a foul. Diamande was twisting and turning. Well, there was a little shove, to be fair. There was a little shove on Diamande. There was a little shove. Whether it was enough is another matter altogether. It wasn't deemed to be enough. We're seeing a few of the physical challenges that have gone on early in the game. The physio is on to attend to Diamande, so this is one of those horrible moments for a manager just before a major tournament. You know, he's picked his squad and he doesn't want there to be a major problem with anybody, but Diamande is down and in a bit of trouble. He's only still a teenager, only 19. This is only his 10th cap. He only made his debut late last year, but he was part of the AFCON squad and he scored in the last 16 win over Burkina Faso. Well, he's on his feet again, which Emerse Faye will be relieved about. Don't lose a player who is in your plans at this stage, just a week before the World Cup. The World Cup, of course, starts a week tonight in Mexico City with Mexico against South Africa. You can hear that on Flash Score. I do believe we're covering about 85 of the 104 games to be played in the greatest show on earth. That'll be a free kick to France. Kessie was too strong into the back of Rabiot on that occasion. France take the free kick in their own half. Here is Rabiot. And now Aurélien Tchouameni. Tchouameni, that's a little bit loose from him, but they're not under any pressure, France at the back, so they can retrieve it with Konaté. Magnan outside of his area in the D, gets a touch, sends it to the right hand side. Jules Koundé playing it forward to Michael Elise, back to Koundé, who's under a little bit of pressure, as is Konaté. He lost it to the halfway line. It was a beautiful take on the chest by Mbappe, but he turned and tried to run forward, and Singo was alert to that danger and got in ahead of Mbappe and swept up. As it was, the flag had gone up against Kylian Mbappe from the pass forward. So the Ivory Coast get a free kick. 20 minutes played already in the Stade de Bourgeois in France. And here comes Elise. Good save. Swift break forward from France from the free kick. Elise got into the right hand side of the box, but Fofana was there again. Two good stops from Yahia Fofana in the first quarter of this game. Now it's the Ivory Coast's turn to launch an attack down the left hand side. Diamande, who seems to be okay again after falling on that shoulder. The Ivory Coast have been forced back to the halfway line. Here is Singo though. It's worked to this right hand side, and Doué moves in field now. He sends a diagonal back in the direction of Seiko Fofana. Now it's over the left-hand side of the field with Conan. Just a little ball inside. Now comes to Kessie once more. Drifts the ball out to the right-hand side. Can Doué keep that in? He can't. I thought for a minute he was going to keep it in by the corner flag, but the last bounce of the ball just made it skip off. And out for a throw on that far side. France don't clear very well from it though, and the Ivory Coast are back in possession once again. And they're in possession with Singo. He's forced to turn back, give the ball to Fofana. Fofana sends it left. Here is Conan once more, inside to Kessie. Touched off, gets it back again, does Kessie. Just tucks it to his right to Singo. Kessie on the ball again. He's very much acting as the water carrier, is the very experienced skipper. Ball played down the left-hand side, but Diomande had no chance of getting to that. Koundé was in his way and the ball was overhit anyway. So it travels through to Mike Manuel in the French goal. And France will build slowly again from the back. Upamecano. Now Rabiot back inside. Upamecano once more. Just tucks it to his right-hand side. Konaté. Now Koundé. Up the right-hand touchline over the halfway line to Elise. Elise comes in field with that sort of ponytail of hair streaming out behind him. Meccano again. That's a good ball forward to Turan, and now Rabiot tried to play it back inside to Turan, but it was cut out by the Ivory Coast. Diakite turns away from a challenge, goes down under it. He was looking for a free kick. He's not got one. Well, the referee has blown his whistle at this point. I think we're going to have the hydration break, because we're just past the midway point of the half. You'll see this very much in the World Cup. It's a FIFA directive ready for the very hot temperatures in Mexico, the USA and Canada at this time of year. So this becomes another chance really for coaches to have a word with their sides and correct any things that they feel may not have gone well early on, or to reinforce things that have worked. I think if you're in Mersfay, you'll be saying, look, we need to get Diomande much more on the ball on the left-hand side, because we had some joy in the first 5 minutes coming down that left-hand flank. Whereas Didier Deschamps will be just wanting his side to be alert to the Ivory Coast counter-attack. And other than that, I think he'll be quite happy. They've been working the ball from side to side, trying to move the Ivory Coast out of position. They've had a couple of decent chances. And Elise's shot from the right-hand side of the box, and Kylian Mbappe's effort from the left-hand side. And so there's been opportunities there for France early on. You hear Fofana has been in really good form in the Ivory Coast goal. Made a couple of very smart saves already, as you hear Fofana. As I say, he was born in Paris and he played for France right through until the under-21s, and he was called up by the Ivory Coast in 2023 and opted to follow the ancestral route. Plays his club football in Turkey for Keka Rizapor. We're back underway again. France on the ball with Elise on the halfway line. He's being harassed by Diomande. He holds him off, runs back into his own half and gives it all the way back to Mike Manuel. Of course, there could be a raft of substitutions in these friendly matches with looking to keep players involved and give players enough exercise before the World Cup. This is good play by France. Oh, it's loose though. They were building a nice attack there, but Theo Hernandez overhit his pass through to Kylian Mbappe. Here are the Ivory Coast on the counter now. Wild keeps the ball in and he plays it off Michael Elise and behind for a corner. It's a good counter-attack from the Ivory Coast. Well, there was a ball played through, as I say, by Hernandez, which was quite loose, but I think France would have been offside anyway. But the Ivory Coast have a chance from this corner kick. It's a corner from the left-hand side as they play. They've got plenty of men in the penalty area, at least 6 to my line of sight. In comes the ball from the left-hand side. It's massively overhit. It's retrieved on this right-hand touchline by Seko Fofana. He can get it back across. Oh, it's headed over the top of the bar. It was Adingra who took the initial corner, who'd made his way back into the penalty area. Seko Fofana did very well up against Rabiot. Got the ball back into the box, but Adingra's not the tallest and he couldn't grow big enough to get over the top of the header, and it came off the top of his forehead and just kept rising really. And so it remains 0-0 28 minutes in. France 0, the Ivory Coast 0 here in the Stade de la Bourgeois in Nantes, where France have an excellent record actually. They've won 9 of their last 10 internationals here and drawn the other one. Here's Hernandez coming forward. Cherki driving down the left-hand side. He's reached the left-hand edge. It's not a great pass to Thuram though. It's swept up by Doué and put out a play for a throw on this near side. Almost level with the 18-yard area. It's a good driving run by Cherki, but not the best of passes in the end. Upamecano from the throw-in gives it back to his goalkeeper Manuel. Manuel lays it off to Konate. Konate now to Jules Koundé. Koundé, of course, coming out of the La Liga season, and he's made a run forward here, Koundé, but he wasn't quite quick enough. Good sweeping up at the back by the Ivory Coast to tidy up that particular attack. Diamande on the left-hand side for the Ivory Coast, drifted forward by Kessie, but while applauds the pass from his skipper, but it was a fraction too long and went through to Mike Manuel, and France are back in possession. Here is Ibrahima Konate. Tchouameni. Cherki came deep to get a touch, but only sent it back into the path of Tchouameni. Thuram gets away from 2 defenders, does well. Finds Theo Hernandez on this left-hand side. Thuram once more. Now Hernandez again on this left-hand touchline. Just has to tuck a diagonal into the path of Tchouameni. Thuram on this left-hand touchline now. Drives in field. Looks to play it to Mbappe. Hernandez, he's carried on his run as Thuram, he's pulled it across. Oh, Cherki couldn't take it in stride. Seemed to want an extra touch, the Manchester City man. I think he should have hit it. There were a couple of Ivory Coast players getting back on the line with goalkeeper Fofana stranded. But Cherki took an extra touch, and it wasn't the best of touches at that. The ball ran away from him, and the chance was gone. That was some intricate play from Les Bleus. And here they come again. Jules Koundé. 7 or 8 yards in from the far touchline. Links up with Elise once more. Here's Mbappe, 30 yards out, played into the area. Cherki on the turn. That was a better effort. It's gone into the side netting. It may have taken a deflection. It did indeed. It was a good challenge. Let's put it behind for a corner. That was better from Cherki. If he'd done that 30 seconds earlier, France may well have scored. The defender that made the block is picking himself up a little gingerly. That might be Wilfred Singo, who's feeling the effects of making that block. Anyway, the ball is now on the corner quadrant with Michael Elise. It's going to be a corner from the right-hand side for France. So it will be a left-footed in-swinger from Michael Elise. Such a dangerous footballer. Formerly with Crystal Palace, of course, now playing in Germany with Bayern. One arm up, swings the ball in, punched away by Fofana. Only reaches Mbappe on the left-hand edge. Dinked back across again, dangerously. Header came in. It was from Konate. He didn't get it cleanly. He was being policed, and I'm not sure he got a proper header on it, to be honest. It was a lovely dink ball, but he rose high enough, did Konate, but I think it sort of skimmed off his forehead onto his shoulder. But yeah, we're seeing the previous incident with Cherki. There were defenders back on the line, but you just fancy he should have tried to hit it left-footed first time. And he took an extra touch and the ball bobbled away from him and the chance was gone. But France have created the chances in this first half. They've had 3 or 4 now. They haven't been able to make the most of. There's Kessie for the Ivory Coast. Back to his goalkeeper Fofana, who's in the D. He just sends it square to his left-hand side. Just making sure someone's not sending me a message, everyone, saying that you can't hear me, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Here comes Doué to put a ball in from the right-hand side. It's not properly cleared. Still bobbling around in there. Can the Ivory Coast get onto it? Well, they've committed a foul. Diakite has bundled over Rabiot. That was the 2 14s coming together. Rabiot got his head to it first, and Diakite just kept coming and stuck an elbow. I don't mean maliciously, but he sort of planted his arm onto the back of Rabiot and pushed him to the floor. Well, the Ivory Coast fans are in good voice as well. They're going to enjoy their night in Nantes, whatever happens. It's a free kick then to France. Immerse Faye is, I think he's sitting on a football in the technical area, which is it's not quite the bucket that one or two managers have employed in recent times in the technical area, most famously Bielsa, of course. There's Hernandez with the throw. Upamecano. Square for Konate. French substitutes being sent for a run down the touchline. That sends the fans into further voice to greet them as they limber up gently. 35 minutes gone in the Stade de la Bourgeois. Still 0-0. Here is Ryan Cherki of Manchester City. Theo Hernandez. Cherki once again just links up with Hernandez once more. Chermani now out to Koundé. Cherki has worked his way right across the pitch from left to right, almost in a straight line, and in the process of that he's touched the ball 3 or 4 times in this particular move. He's still orchestrating it now as he moves back towards, or further left as it were. All his work to Hernandez on this left-hand touchline, but his pass was poor and Doué did well to intercept it. Here's Diakite now running up to the halfway line, looking to win the throw, and indeed he does so. Wins the throw off Chirmani. So throw just inside the Ivory Coast half on this near side, which is their right. Thrown in by Doué. His brother Desiree, of course, is on the bench tonight for France, so we may see 2 brothers linked by blood but separated by tribe at some point in the second half, or tribal colours anyway. Here is Singo to Agbadou with his I think he's dyed his hair orange as well, because it seems to be pretty much the same colour as his shirt. That's a nice turn over on the far side. Ivory Coast working the ball nicely. They've drifted out to this right hand side, but Doué doesn't control that one properly. My apologies, it wasn't Doué, it was Diakite who threatened, who failed to control it properly. Gave away the throw. France have taken it and they're in possession. Here's Koundé. Back to Kounate. Kounate slowing the game down again to walking pace. Back with Manuel now. Not had a great deal to do, Mike Manuel. Here is Hernandez on this near side. Will he get the vote for the left back spot, or will Didier Deschamps go with Luca Dean, who's on the bench tonight, we wonder? Luca Dean may be being given a little bit more time to recover himself as well, of course, because Aston Villa won the Europa League and had some celebrations in Birmingham yesterday. So one assumes he may have joined up a little late. Here is Rabiot. And now Chirmani. Ryan Cherki giving the ball out wide. Michael Elise, he's not seen so much of the ball in the last 10 minutes. He runs in field, the Bayern Munich man. He's bundled over. And that will be a free kick to France. French fans jumping up and down in the stands. I think all the supporters tonight have just come to have a good time, regardless of what actually happens on the pitch. Here is Cherki from that free kick. He's on the right hand side of the box. He lofts it across. Header comes in, and a diving stop from Fofana. It's Chirmani who got his head to it, and they've scrambled it behind for a corner of the Ivory Coast, and they're caught out because the corner's taken quickly. It's Mbappe trying to play the ball across, and now Ivory Coast break out. They break out with Wal. He's got players inside him. It's going to be drifted by Adingra out to the left-hand side, but that's a poor ball from Adingra. That's a waste from the Ivory Coast. They had 4 players breaking forward. They had 4 against 3 at one stage. Elise's now played it through to Mbappe. That's a really good challenge by Singo, who appeared to be behind Mbappe, and yet made up the ground and played the ball away to his right-hand side. I thought for all the world that Elise had sent Mbappe through to score there, but Singo did brilliantly to make up sufficient ground to get the tackle in. Here is Doué now for the Ivory Coast. Build down this right-hand touchline. Move it more centrally with Adingra. Here's Diakite on the right, looking to drift the ball in, but it's a really poor cross. Sails into the hands of Mike Manuel. Well, the Ivory Coast at one end had 4 against 3 and didn't do anything with it. And then Elise played a defence-splitting pass to Mbappe, and you would have put your house on him scoring there, I think. But Wilfred Singo had other ideas. Here's Rabiot. Well, that's loose from him. Ivory Coast have pinched it. Chance here. Oh, good save, Manuel. Dingra pinched it. They were dispossessed. He picked the pocket of a French defender. Advanced to the edge of the area. It was Chouamani who failed to control the ball. Dingra was in. And he raced to the edge of the box. Tried to place it. And Manuel stuck out a right hand and got it behind for the corner. Best chance the Ivory Coast have had, and it came from a French mistake. So the Ivory Coast have a corner on the left. It will be swung in by Diomande. Plenty in there for the Ivory Coast. In it comes, headed away by Chouamani. The Ivory Coast have won it back though. They've not been intimidated in this game, the Ivory Coast. Here's Singo looking to swing a ball in. His cross was deflected off a French foot. The Ivory Coast have won it back again. Here's Doué playing the ball inside. Good football from the Ivory Coast. Diakite looked to take on his man, but Rabiot was Hernandez was equal to that. And in the end, he drew a foul from Diakite. And France will get a relieving free kick. But, you know, France have dictated most of this first half. And then just a little slip from Chouamani. Gets his pocket picked by Dingra. And all of a sudden, Ivory Coast were nearly one to the good. Here come France again, though, with Hernandez on the left-hand edge. Inside him is Elise. Oh, he played it into Cherki, who a little back heel. Ivory Coast have tidied it up, but only at the expense of a corner. Cherki's back heel was lovely. Hernandez couldn't quite get onto it, but the Ivory Coast took no chances and conceded a corner on their left, or on the French left, which will be taken by Cherki. Takes it short to Elise, who flicks it off the outside of his foot back to Cherki. Will he try one from the edge? Well, he did. Fofana is down again to palm away, back across the box and swept away. There's been plenty of chances for France. Cherki might get another shot in. Here he does, and he scores! Ryan Cherki has finally found a way through. And he's put France ahead. Not very far from half-time. They never really cleared that corner, the Ivory Coast. And in the end, they've been made to pay. And Ryan Cherki of Manchester City has got the going-away party up and running here in Nantes. France 1, the Ivory Coast 0. Ryan Cherki the scorer. Well, he had one go from the edge that Fofana beat away, but it was recycled across the box, only half cleared. And when it came back in again, Kunati it was who teed up Cherki, who stepped inside one challenge and then fired it across Fofana, who, having made 3 or 4 pretty decent saves, is finally beaten. And France have the lead right on the stroke of half-time. Good hit from Cherki in the end. I criticised him earlier for not hitting one first time, but he certainly did stylishly there. And Ryan Cherki has put his side in front. We've got 3 minutes of time added on to be played. They're still checking this goal, but I think the goal has been given. VAR, we're just having a look at whether there was a shove by Konate in the build-up to that goal, but and Immerse Faith certainly feels that there was a shove. He's in the ear of the fourth official. Didier Deschamps isn't very far from that incident either. But anyway, the goal has stood. And France are ahead in the last minute of normal time, or it was when the ball went in. We've now played over a minute of stoppage time. We'll probably play a bit more than that. France have given the ball away again. Koundé lost the ball and then fouled his man. Ivory Coast have taken the free kick quickly. I think they might have been better setting something up there. But they have the ball on the left-hand side. The referee's lost his footing, so he's blown his whistle. Not sure what happened there at all. Referee Gisheimer seemed to completely lose his footing. Well, he was actually shoved into by Frank Kessie, and the referee's got a bit of a whack in the mouth, I think. I don't know whether he ran into Kessie or Kessie ran into him, but the referee has taken a bit of a blow in the face. He's going to be okay. He's having a puff out of the cheeks. Plenty of celebrations in the crowd. Still going on from the goal. Cherki did well. He's been teasing the Ivorians through most of the game, it has to be said. He's still looking a little jaded after that whack in the face, is referee Gisheimer. He's going to come over to the side of the pitch for some attention, so it's not a player that's suffering on this particular occasion, it's the referee. Looks a little dazed after that incident. I saw him hit the floor and didn't necessarily realise why that was the case. The Ivorians are still in the ear of the fourth official. I don't know whether that's because they're still unhappy about the goal. Wilfried Singo is in conversation with Didier Deschamps, so there's plenty of chat going on. Referee Gisheimer receives a little bit of attention. Kylian Mbappe appears to be getting involved and helping out and putting an ice pack on the back of the referee's neck, just to cool him down a bit and allow him to get his senses back. Yeah, there was a collision between the referee and Frank Kessie. I don't think there was anything deliberate in it, but let's just say the referee came second in that little altercation. We're going to play on. I guess we'll be in the dressing room fairly soon, and then the referee can assess how he feels. We've played 4.5 minutes of time added on now, and there were only supposed to be 3. But with all the incidents that have happened, we'll probably end up playing another minute or so. Fofana with a clearing kick up to the halfway line, touched off to this right-hand touchline, and Doué back inside to Kessie. Kessie picks it up once more. He's got to be careful. He's got blue shirts around him. He lays it off to Singo. Singo to Kessie again, and now they're going to drive forward over the halfway line with Seko Fofana. Doué now running in field, policed by Theo Hernandez. Kessie touches it to his left where Agbadou is on the ball, and the referee decides that's enough for one half. Well, France created nearly all the chances, really. Mbappe, Elise, Chouamani and Cherki all had chances before Rayan Cherki finally broke the deadlock, the Manchester City man, following a corner that was never properly cleared. He fired across Fofana into the far corner to make it 1-0 in the last minute of normal time in the half. Only really one good chance for the Ivory Coast, who had a couple of good moves down the left early on, but it was fairly late in the half when Simon Adingra dispossessed Aurelien Chouamani and advanced to the edge of the penalty area. But Mike Manuel, who hadn't had anything to do, was up to the task and got a right hand on the ball and got it behind for a corner. So France deservedly ahead at the interval. They lead 1-0. Join us for the second half shortly. Well, welcome back everyone to the second half of our international friendly tonight from the Stade de la Bourgeois in Nantes, where France lead the Ivory Coast 1-0 at half-time, thanks to a goal in the last minute of normal time in the first half from Manchester City's Ryan Cherki. Not really no more than France deserved, because they dominated the first period and forced 3 or 4 really good saves from Yahia Fofana in the Ivory Coast goal. Mike Manuel just making one save at the other end, really, from Simon Adingra of Brighton and Hove Albion. As expected, a flurry of substitutions at the start of the second half, which we'll try and take you through. I can see that Maxence Lacroix has come onto the field. He's offering a prayer, as is very much his custom. He's one of a number of Christian players, or overtly Christian players, at Crystal Palace. Luca Dean is also on. We spoke in the first half as to whether Luca Dean would take the left back spot. Akliouche has also come on at half time, and Jean-Philippe Mateta. Also, it looks as if N'Golo Kante is going to get a run in the second half as well. So, as expected, a flurry of substitutions. Managers very conscious that players have played a lot of minutes over the course of the season. They don't want to overexert them before the World Cup, but at the same time they want to keep them moving and not have them completely stop from action. Looks as if the Ivory Coast are going to make some swaps as well at the start of the second period. Nicolas Pepe is going to come on for the Ivory Coast. He's the only man ever to score a goal against France. They've only ever scored once against France, and Nicolas Pepe did that in the last encounter between the sides back in March of 2022. Scored their goal in the 2-1 defeat. Jean-Philippe Mateta saying hello to Poil as we wait for the start of the second half. Looks like Ahmed Diallo is also coming on to start this half. So Pepe and Diallo are on for the Ivory Coast. A swathe of substitutions for France as well. The two sides doing some limbering up. So just to confirm, Hernandez, Upamecano, Tchouameni, Elise and Mbappe have come off for France. Digne, Lacroix, Kante, Akliouche and Mateta are on, as we've just kicked off at the start of the second half, and Diallo and Pepe are on for the Ivory Coast. So hopefully we can steer you through those substitutions as the half progresses. It's a throw to the Ivory Coast early in this second period, which has been taken. They've worked the ball to the right-hand side. Here is Singo. Singo sends it to the right-hand touchline. Nicolas Pepe gets his first touch of the ball. He was in, and there's a foul there on the far side, committed by Luca Dean. He's brought Diallo to the floor. So a painful first experience of the game for Ahmed Diallo of Manchester United. I was going to say, Nicola Pepe finished the La Liga season in pretty good form. He had 7 goal involvements in his last 6 games, 3 goals and 4 assists. So he's in decent form. Here's Diomande playing it into a central area for the Ivory Coast, who need to show a little bit more going forward. They've worked it down this left-hand side, but they can't keep it in. Pepe just ran out of pitch. It escaped over the dead ball line, but it was a decent enough move down the left-hand side. They had some joy down the left in the first half. The men who came off at half-time for France are doing some warming down, I think, on the side of the pitch. Saw one or two of them doing some warm-down exercises. Here comes France in the meantime down the left. Luca Dean trying to step inside his man. Doesn't work, though. Breaks for Diallo. Diallo links with Pepe. Diallo again keeps it in on that far side, but the ball played forward lands at the feet of Konate for France. Here's Maxence Lacroix. What a season he's had at Crystal Palace. The Europa Conference League champions, of course, having beaten Rayo Vallecano in the final just over a week ago. Fabulous season for Crystal Palace. Charity Shield winners, Conference League winners as well. That on top of winning the FA Cup last year. Great send-off for Oliver Glasner. Now speculation as to who will replace him at Selhurst Park. It's to be worked out in the course of the summer. Manuel with a clearance for France. Only into Ivory Coast possession. They've lost it though to Jean-Philippe Mateta. There's Cherki playing out wide for Luca Dean. Luca Dean, Europa League winner with Aston Villa, of course. Here's Lacroix. Now Konate. Koundé on this near side. Being forced backwards, but does well to keep possession of the ball. Finds Cherki just over the halfway line. Aklush has it now, sends it back to Konate on the halfway line. Sorry, to Koundé on the halfway line. He finds Konate. To his left is Lacroix. And now it's gone all the way back to Mike Maignan in the French goal. So France building slowly here. Not looking to take too much out of themselves, you would feel. There's a foul on the far side. Turan is sent to the floor by Doué, who rather unceremoniously dumped Marcus Thuram onto the seat of his pants. But France have taken the free kick. Well, they've played the ball out of play. That was a bit loose from Maxence Lacroix. Not his best intervention, as it were. I was going to say about Marcus Thuram, he's of course the son of former French international turned author Liliane Thuram. If you've read any of Liliane Thuram's material, it's quite provocative, thought-provoking. Here's Koundé playing the ball inside. Akouche dummies it for Cherki. Cherki looked to play it back into the penalty area, but the challenge came in and ricocheted back off Cherki and out for a goal kick. But yeah, Marcus Thuram, an interesting character, named after the Jamaican activist Marcus Garvey. He was actually born in Italy when his father Liliane was playing for Parma, and growing up, his father, of course, famously played for Juve and Barca, and Marcus being Marcus decided he would support AC Milan and Real Madrid instead. So there were probably some pretty interesting conversations in the Turan household, you would think. France on the ball anyway, with Konate just forward of his own 18-yard area. Gives it to Cherki, who's come deep. He returns it to Konate, who sends it left to Lacroix. Konate once more to this near touchline, the French right. Cherki short of the halfway line. Finds Koundé, and Koundé back to Mike Manuel. 6.5 minutes of the second half gone. Here on the Flash Score Live audio commentary service. France 1, the Ivory Coast 0 in this pre-World Cup friendly international in Nantes. It's a free kick to the Ivory Coast. Turan this time fouling Doué. They've having an interesting little tussle. I regret to say that there were the beginnings of a Mexican wave going around the stadium. I don't think the game is that bad. Fortunately, I think a large section of the crowd decided not to join in, so that's died a death. Oh, that's a great ball through. Here's a chance for the Ivory Coast, and they've scored. Really good play. Lovely ball through. And it's Doué who found himself in the centre forward position. I'm not quite sure how he found himself in that position, but he's tucked the ball away beautifully. And of course, the camera pans to his brother Desiree on the French bench. He has a little wry smile to himself. Probably quite impressed with his brother's finish. Not so impressed with the scoreline. This was a lovely piece of football. Ball played through. He got between the two centre-backs, and as Manuel came out to meet him, he tucked it away beautifully from halfway between the penalty spot and the edge of the area. Beautiful finish with his right foot. It was a delicious ball through by Pepe, to be fair. And France's good work in the first half is undone, because it's France 1, the Ivory Coast 1 in the 54th minute. And that has sent the African contingent in the crowd into dancing. Well, that was lovely football, has to be said. Referee Gishamer is going to restart us. He's none the worse for his collision in the first half with Frank Kessie, which left him needing treatment. And two of them collided. France nearly gave the ball away again then from the restart. Careless from Les Bleus, and they've lost it once more. So they need to wake their ideas up at the start of this second half, because the Ivory Coast have caught them napping, I think. Ivory Coast have the ball in their own back line. Emmanuel Agbadou, who of course spent a season with Wolves before moving off again once more to play on the continent. Here he is, Agbadou. Ball is attempted to be played down the left touchline by Conan, but it comes off a French foot and out for a throw-in to the Ivory Coast. France win it higher up the pitch. Mateta lays it off. Here's N'Golo Kante into Luca Digne. Will it run for Turan? No, it won't, but Ivory Coast have had to give away a corner. Singo came across to concede it. They want to be a little bit more aware, Ivory Coast, because the goal in the first half came from a short corner that they weren't banking on. They kind of turned their backs on the ball, and France played on quickly with their short corner and caught the elephant snapping, as it were. Quite a strong breeze blowing in here in Nantes. It's blowing towards the Ivory Coast goal as France are playing. Digne puts the ball in the box. It's headed towards goal by Turan, but well wide. Got to the ball first. Here Fofana just geeing up his defenders again, suggesting they were caught napping a little bit. We're seeing the Ivory Coast goal once more. It's a beautiful ball from Nicola Pepe. And a very cool finish from Doué. Very, very good indeed. I think, as I say, his brother Desiree would have been most impressed with that finish. Not the sort of position you'd expect to find his brother, really, in that situation. So, quite a surprise in many ways. But a lovely goal nonetheless. Maxence Lacroix laying it to Turan. Here come France again with Koundé. Koundé on this near side, which is the French right. All his work back to Konaté. Konaté just keeps the ball moving. France now moving forward with Mateta. It's a nice little touch off. Akliouche. Now Koundé back inside looking for Akliouche once more, but didn't find him. But it's broken for Ryan Cherki. Cherki gave it to Rabiot. Here's Akliouche once more. Now Konaté steps inside the challenge of Diomande. It's Lacroix. N'Golo Kante, the veteran. Such a good part of his career spent at Chelsea. Still regarded as something of a legend there. Rabiot. Back to Konaté again. Probing for an opening. Just looking to see, and it's Guella Doué's third goal for the Ivory Coast. Only in 20 caps as well, so for a man who's essentially a defender, that's not a bad record. France had a throw on the far side, but Cherki's little back heel didn't come off, and Ivory Coast have won the ball, and they played a lovely ball down the right hand side. Diallo got ahead of Lacroix initially, but Lacroix did well to get back and dispossess him. Good defending by the Crystal Palace man, because it looked as if Diallo had given him the slip from the pass forward. Here's Turan at the other end. Oh, a little layoff, but Digne wasn't expecting it and was caught on his heels. And it's gone out of play for a goal kick. So we're approaching the hour mark here in Nantes. France won, the Ivory Coast won. These are pre-World Cup friendlies, but you get the impression that Didier Deschamps would like to have won it, but and he might still win it, of course, but more important to get minutes in players' legs and manage minutes at the end of a long season. A lot of these players, of course, would have played in the Club World Cup last summer as well, so hardly any pause at all in top flight football or top level football these days. Players seem to be expected to play certainly 11 months of the year these days. Here's Akliouche coming forward, playing it to his left. Luca Dean now looking to swing one in from the left-hand side. He does so. He was looking for Mateta. Ekbadou won the header. Still in the box there for France, though. Mateta, can he drive it across the box? Well, he's won a corner. Ekbadou felt there was a foul on one of his compatriots in the build-up to that. And there is an Ivory Coast player on the floor as we speak. There was a challenge between Koundé and one of the Ivorians. Pretty sure Koundé got to the ball first. Anyway, the corner's been taken. Aklouche will swing it in. Mateta looks to direct it goalwards, but his header balloons up off the shoulder of Kessie, I think. Makes it easy for Fofana to latch onto the ball. We have another spate of substitutions here just past the hour. This time the ball goes out of play. There are several Ivorian players getting ready to enter the fray, and at least one for France as well. Looks like Manu Kone might be coming on for them. But in the meantime, well, Pepe tried to take the ball and turn in one movement. He gave it away. Here's Mateta now. Mateta to Turan. Turan with a shot from the edge. Drifts wide of the post. Wasn't far off that. Good link-up play between him and Jean-Philippe Mateta. Another of the Europa Conference League winners with Crystal Palace, of course. Turan's shot. Probably a yard and a half wide. We'll see the Chelsea man Malo Gusto come on as well for France. So presumably that's a right back swap with Jules Koundé. None of those substitutions have happened yet though, because the ball is back in play. Here's Emmanuel Agbadou. Steps away from Cherki, who tried to rush him. That's good play. Diomande out on this left-hand touch line, running at Koundé. Koundé stood his ground as Diomande tried to come inside him, and France won the ball back. Cherki, though, is hustled off it by Agbadou. Agbadou just outside the area, wild with the shot, but there's no power in that. Easy claim for Mike Manuel. So it remains 1-1, 63 minutes played. But Cherki gave the ball away there on the edge of his own box to Emmanuel Agbadou. That was a bit of a physical mismatch, of course. Cherki quite a small man, and Agbadou, the big centre half, certainly made his physical presence felt. Digne now plays it forward to Mateta. That's a nice little layoff for Cherki. Back out to Digne on the left-hand side. Tucks it back to Cherki. Cherki inside to Aklouche. And now N'Golo Kante. Kante to Luca Dean. Will he swing a ball in from the left? No, he won't. He'll return it to Kante. Cherki now tried to link with Kante. Couldn't do so. Ball was pinched by Seiko Fofana. Ball played forward though by Ivory Coast is given away once more. N'Golo Kante, who's now wearing the captain's armband for France. They look to come forward once more, but Agbadou was in the way. And now Ivory Coast launch an attack down the left with Conan. Conan, that's a good ball across. Here's Amad Diallo, but it's pinched off his toe by Lacroix. Still the Ivory Coast come though. Drift the ball across the box. They're appealing for handball, nothing given. Manuel picks the ball up. There's a few furrowed brows on the French benches now. Ivory Coast have been much more proactive in the second half. They've had a bit more of the ball and they've been more progressive. They've got the equalising goal. Maybe they fancy the chance to spring an upset here. Here's Seiko Fofana coming through the middle of the pitch. He's played it out to the left-hand side, and Diomande to the left of the penalty area, back across the box, but that's well read by Rabiot, who can allow France to clear. Another little back heel from Cherki. Koundé couldn't take it though, and here come Ivory Coast again. Seiko with the shot. Seiko Fofana whistles wide of the post. Kylian Mbappe well wrapped up on the now in the dugout, having played the first 45 minutes. Doesn't look unduly concerned. He knows the really serious business starts in a week or so's time. Koundé is indeed coming off to allow Malo Gusto to enter the action. Kounate and Rabiot also coming off. Kounate has a hand slap with Didier Deschamps. Rabiot did a good job. Lucas Hernandez is Hernandez is on as well, so we've now got Hernandez and Hernandez on the pitch. Well, there's going to be a sea of substitutions for the Ivory Coast. It's going to be more a case of who's left on the field rather than not, as it were. Ibrahim Sangare is one of those coming on. Frank Kessie, the captain, has taken his leave as well. Plenty of players entering the action for the Ivory Coast. See if we can identify a few more. Bazumana Toure and Christopher Aperi have also come on, so plenty of new faces for the final quarter of this game. Quite surprised the referee didn't call for the hydration break while all those substitutions were being made. Maybe he did, and we were just so focused on the substitutions that we didn't see it happen, because we're past the midway point of the second half and we're at 1-1. Here are the Ivory Coast with a Pire on the ball. Just try and clarify a few more of those substitutions for you as we progress. Just confirm that as we go along. In the meantime, France clear a ball from close to their penalty area. Manu Kone, it's good from him. Luca Dean attempting to make progress, but he's stopped by Ibrahim Kounate, who of Nottingham Forest, of course. So the game becomes very bitty at this stage with so many new players on the pitch. Bonny has come on, and also Inaulai is another that's come on for the Ivory Coast. Here's a Piri trying to play a ball up the left-hand channel. It's gone out of play for a throw. Toure was the one chasing that. His endeavours came to nothing. France on the ball with N'Golo Kante. It's played back to Manuel, who immediately sends it forward. Cherki is one of the few Frenchmen who was on the pitch to begin with and is still on the pitch now, doing his orchestrating, as it were. France building from the back. Manu Kone has to give the ball all the way back. France work it to this near side. Makes sense. Lacroix, who's switched from left centre back to right, I think, in that last sort of reshuffle from the substitutions. Pire for the Ivory Coast. Agbadou, who's one of those who's been on from the beginning. He plays a long ball forward to be chased by Toure. Toure gets there ahead of Gusto. Can he force a corner? Well, no, he can't, because Gusto stands up well, forces him into an error, and the ball sneaks over the dead ball line for a goal kick. So a goal kick to France. 20 minutes left for play. And I think the hydration break may have been called now because the players are wandering over to the sideline. So a much better second half so far from the Ivory Coast. I mean, France took a number of players off at half time, which maybe affected their first half momentum. They'd taken the lead in the last minute of normal time in the first half through Ryan Cherki, having forced 3 or 4 good saves out of Yahia Fofana in the first half. Cherki, Mbappe, Elise and Chouamani all had opportunities which were kept out by the goalkeeper. Ivory Coast had only really had one chance in that first half when Adingra picked the pocket of Chouamani, who had half slipped, and forced a decent save out of Mike Manuel. But the Ivory Coast had been better in the second half, and they equalised when one of the substitutes, Nicolas Pepe, formerly of Arsenal, played a ball through for Guella Doué, brother of Desiree Doué, and he found himself in the centre forward position and finished with some aplomb past Manuel to make it 1-1. So the game is there to be won. There's probably more important matters at play than the result of this particular game. That's a worrying sight for France, that Rabiot, having come off, has got an ice pack on the knee. So French fans won't want to see that. That's the thing that you dread in these warm-up friendlies before a major tournament, that somebody who's integral to your plans is injured. So we'll hope for Rabiot's sake that that's not the case. We're back underway again after the hydration break, and the Ivory Coast have a free kick in their right back area for a foul by Turan on Singo, which allows the Ivory Coast to make their way forward. Ball is played up to Bonny, who chested it down, laid it out to the right-hand touchline. They've come back to the halfway line, though, of the Ivory Coast, and they're in possession of the ball once more with creased now Olai. He's in turn found a colleague who's laid the ball forward into this left-hand channel. Will they be able to keep it in? Well, Toure did race to keep it in, but the flag went up against him for offside. So a free kick to France. Players very much wrapped up, having come off and gone onto the bench. It looks as if Singo is going to have to come off, and he's limping, which is another worry for the Ivory Coast. It's going to be Ousmane Diomande who's going to replace him. France are going to make yet another change as well. Singo looks a little concerned coming off, so Asmire Faye will hope that that's not serious. It's Warren Zaïre-Emery who's pulling a shirt on for France. He didn't play too much of the Champions League final, so probably in that sense needed less recovery time than Desiree Doué and others who seem to be destined to remain on the bench tonight, perhaps. Well, that's a loose ball out of defence by the Ivory Coast. They've given the ball away. Ball is on the left-hand edge. Shot comes in by France. It's blocked in the penalty area. Ran out as far as N'Golo Kante, but he couldn't keep the attack going, and Apiri will win a throw on this near side for the Ivory Coast. Will we see those further changes, I wonder? With the ball out of play. No, we won't. We're playing on again. Ball is hooked out for a French throw this time, which Kiush takes. Gets it back to Malo Gusto. Here's Maxence Lacroix. That's a good ball by him. Into a central position for Manu Kante. Dean, you're on the far touchline. Back to Manu Kante. Here's Maxence Lacroix to the right of the centre circle. France trying to keep hold of the ball, but I thought they'd given it away, but that's a really good challenge to keep possession for France, just as the Ivory Coast were threatening to pick pockets once again and burst over the halfway line. That's good from Mateta. And now Cherki. Here's a Klush, but that's a weak shot from him. Weak shot, blocked by the knees of Fofana. Flag had gone up in any case. Klush had wandered offside. We're going to see Warren Zaire-Emery is going to enter the contest for its remaining 12 or 13 minutes. It's Rand Cherki who's going to take his leave, the man who put France ahead in the first half. That goal cancelled out by Doué. The French crowd here in Nantes rise to Cherki, who looks to have run himself into the floor a little. He's weary as he comes off. Manages a hand slap with young Zaire-Emery. What a talent is young Warren Zaire-Emery. Very highly regarded indeed within French football. He's the youngster, just 20. This is his 11th cap. PSG Academy graduate. He's the youngest player since Maurice Gastiga in 1914 to get an international call-up when he was named in the UEFA Euro qualifying squad in November of 2023, and the second youngest scorer after netting against Gibraltar. A bright young thing. Here are France again with Manu Kone. Now it's back with Lacroix. Lacroix gives it to his left to Lucas Hernandez. Lacroix picks it up again, plays it long, looking for his club colleague Jean-Philippe Mateta, but it was beyond him and through to Fofana. Mateta's held a couple of balls up well since he came on at half time, but not really had too much to feed off in terms of goal scoring chances. Swept out to this near side by the Ivory Coast, but Apiri headed it back into French possession. N'Golo Kante, since Lacroix, and Gusto all the way back to Manuel. Just over 10 minutes to play. 10 minutes for someone to find a winner in this friendly. They may be more concerned with just preserving bodies and not getting anyone injured, but you just wonder whether somebody will try and produce the moment of inspiration to find the winner. Lacroix on halfway. Gives it to his right. Gusto, that's a good ball up the line, and Kante had made a good run. Can he get the ball back inside? Well, he did, but it wasn't very well controlled by Zaire-Emery. The Ivory Coast ran it out of play over the dead ball line, and so it's gone out for a corner. So in the end, the youngsters' slightly heavy touch doesn't cost France too dearly. So they've still got an attacking position in which to try and find a goal. Knush has gone across to take the corner from the right hand side. In-swinger with his left foot. He's wearing very loud red boots, I have to say. In comes the corner. It's straight into the hands of Fofana, who wastes no time bowling it out. He's over-bowled it though. It's carried to N'Golo Kante, who sets France going forward once again. Ivory Coast look to scramble it away, but they've given it away to Manu Kone. Cross from Digne, headed towards goal by Thuram, but blocked by the Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast started this second half well, but they look like they're tiring now. Mateta can't quite get through. N'Golo Kante picks it up once more, looks to force another corner and does so. Well, the Ivory Coast aren't very happy about that. They thought that the last touch came off N'Golo Kante, but the referee does not agree, despite protestations. So it'll be another left-footed in-swinger coming in from the right-hand side. Referee Gissamer just having a word with Thuram and Doué, who are having a little bit of a set to. Clouche will get the corner in, swings it in, left-footed, headed away from the centre of the box by Badou. France come again though. Clouche, the corner taker, swings in another ball. Again it's headed away by Badou. And the Ivory Coast have won a free kick for a foul on Ulay. Just seeing Thuram's header again that hit one of the Ivory Coast players on its route to goal and changed its trajectory somewhat. 7 minutes to play. Ivory Coast with the ball forward, not taken in properly, and therefore travels through to Mike Maignan. It was Bonny trying to get on the end of it, but not succeeding in doing so. Ivory Coast have it at the back, look to play it forward through Ousmane Diomande. They've crossed it in here. Here's a chance. They've scored. Wow, that's a good finish. That's a really, really good finish. Ivory Coast have come from behind. They worked the ball down the right-hand side. Ball was played across and it was swept in past Maignan, who had no chance at all. And it's Amad Diallo, Manchester United man, who's applied the finishing touch. Well, I was thinking we hadn't seen a lot of him since he came onto the pitch at half-time, but he may well have won the game here. France didn't clear a ball particularly well, and the Ivory Coast launched an attack down the right-hand side. The ball was played across by Doué, and Diallo just sneaked a yard on his marker, who was Gusto, and swept it in the corner. It's a great finish. And well, Doué has claimed a goal and assist tonight. His brother's not on the pitch, playing against him for France, but they'll be talking about the other Doué tomorrow in the papers, you would think. So, the Ivory Coast threatening to beat France for the first time at the fourth attempt, unless the French can change the course of the game in the last 5 minutes. Here's Lucas Digne. That's a decent cross. Doesn't reach Jean-Philippe Mateta. Gusto, who was undone by Diallo for the goal, now has to try and make up for it. He's got a throw 5 or 6 yards from the corner flag on the right hand side. Throws it to N'Golo Kante. France lose the ball though. And the offside flag's gone up anyway. Well, you wouldn't have had a lot of money at half-time on the Ivory Coast leading this game with 5 minutes to go. Because France were dominant in the first half. They did take off a number of players at half-time, more than the Ivory Coast did. And they've not found as much rhythm in the second half, France. And the Ivory Coast have been much more progressive. And they've deserved their rewards. Here's Diallo, who may have just scored the winner, of course. Ball played back to the halfway line. Ekbadu. Well, there's Mire Faye. Could have masterminded the first win by the Ivory Coast against France. They've not got long to have to hold on to this lead. Here's Mateta trying to change things. He was attempting to turn Ekbadu. Those two would have had battles when, in the season before last, when Crystal Palace faced Wolves. The Ivory Coast fans are looking jubilant, rightly so. Here's N'Golo Kante, sweeping it to this right-hand side. Didn't initially reach Gusto, but he's got hold of it now, only to give it away once more. That's Ibrahim Sangare. That's good strong play by him. And now they're surging forward again through Nicola Pepe. Here's Bonny. Bonny looking to step inside his man. He's played it back to the edge of the area. Shot comes in. Fired over the bar by Toure. But it's the Ivorians who are smiling now. The Elephants are heading for victory in Nantes. Just to remind you, France have won 9 and drawn 1 of their last 10 games in this stadium. Thuram comes off with just a few minutes left for play. And France throw Bradley Barcola into the fray. They won't want to go away from here with defeat, that's for sure. These might be pre-World Cup friendlies, but defeat wasn't really in the plan. Don't want to head into a major tournament with a loss in the bank. Here's N'Golo Kante. Lucas Hernandez. Back to Manuel. Now Maxence Lacroix. N'Golo Kante once more. Didier Deschamps might be thinking that those who came on at half time and since have not really made the most of their audition. Losing the 1-0 lead and now trailing 2-1. Ivory Coast have been excellent in the second half, it does have to be said. Scored 2 lovely goals. The French defence completely undone on both occasions. And really, Fofana has had far less to do in the second half than he did in the first. He's just cleared a ball out here to the near side. Ivory Coast get it up towards the halfway line. Diallo, well, that's loose from him. Giving the ball away. He's given France a chance to put a ball in from the left. Digne attempted to do so. It came off Ibrahim Sangare and behind for a corner. So there's still some defending to do for the Ivory Coast if they're going to claim a famous win. People will say it's a friendly, but in the record books it will show as a win for the Ivory Coast. 5 minutes of time added on has been signalled before this corner comes in, and it comes from the left, headed away to the edge of the area, and now the Ivory Coast might be able to launch another counter-attack. Toure has it. Well, that's too long. That's gone all the way through to Manuel. Didn't give Pepe a chance, that. It's a bit of a waste again. Several times they've attempted to counter-attack tonight and overhit the final pass. Here's Luca Dean, swinging the ball in from the left, headed away. by the Ivory Coast. Bonny tried to come forward. That's a good challenge on him, though. France once again get the ball into the penalty area. Mateta plays it out wide. Lucas Hernandez. Now a Clouche just to the left of the penalty area. Spins away from the challenge of Bonny. Digne can dink it across once more, but only into the arms of Yahia Fofana. He rolls it out to his left-hand side to Christopher Apire. He's done all right since he came on as Apire. Back to Agbadou. Agbadou to Sangari. Ivory Coast looking pretty calm now, really. And unflustered. Can they finish this off? Is the question. Can they see themselves through to victory? As I say, not many people would have bet on that happening tonight, but there's been a few strange results in friendlies this week already. Just having a look at the latest from Spain, where they're only level with Iraq. In fact, that game is finished. So Spain didn't win tonight either. Another of the World Cup favourites. I guess there'll be a lot of talk about, well, we don't want to peak too soon and all of that. And that's quite true. You want to peak in tournament and towards the back of tournament. That'll be the aim. But that won't stop the Ivory Coast celebrating what will be a historic win, should they hold on through these last 2 and a bit minutes here in Nantes. And to be honest, there's nothing to suggest that they won't, because France are not really threatening them at this point. And here is Diallo playing a ball through. Bonny is onto it. Could this be a third? Well, he's been forced wide. He's played it back to the edge, though. Apire shoots. Weak shot. Hit it into the floor. Bobbled through to Manuel. Didn't get hold of it, and it took a little deflection as well, I think, which took more of the pace off it. France. Digne plays a ball up the left-hand side. Sprinting after it is Barcola. Barcola plays it back in field. Here's Kone. He's forced his way past a tackle. Got it across the area, but just ricochets up off a boot and through to Fofana. It was off the boot of Ousmane Diomande. Fofana fell onto the ball. Just to take a few more seconds. We've only got about a minute of stoppage time remaining. And the Ivory Coast are a minute away from beating France for the first time in their history. Digne plays the ball forward. It escapes a Clouche who can't take it in. Here's N'Golo Kante, though. Can he find a defence-splitting ball? No, he can't. Agbadou was in the way. Here's Nicola Pepe. Plays it out to the far touchline. All they've got to do now is try and keep hold of the ball and protect it. Pepe and Ahmed Diallo attempting to do that, and they forced France to play it back. We're in the last few seconds here. It's Mireille Faye. Could be the first Ivorian coach to beat France. Ball's out of play. I think the referee's going to blow here. We've played the 5 minutes, so we're at the mercy of the referee, and he has blown. Well. It may only be a friendly, but not many people would have had money on that result. France were in control in the first half. They had all the chances through Cherki, through Mbappe, Chouamani and Elise, and eventually took the lead in the last minute of the first half when a corner wasn't cleared properly and Cherki was set up by Konaté and fired across Fofana to finally beat the Ivorian keeper. And France led at half-time, but they took half the side off at the start of the second half to give other people time in their legs. And the Ivorians were much, much better in the second half. Nicola Pepe played it all through